Content creators on OnlyFans made more money than all of the NBA players combined.
What?
Karenikov has made more in 3 years than Klay Thompson has in his recent 3-year NBA contract.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. Let me break it down for you guys, man. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG Reels, Facebook. Anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank all my supporters, man, who coming back to the channel each and every single day, watching the videos entirely, commented down below, man, even if it's just to say hi. It helps us in the algorithm, man, and most importantly, hitting that thumbs up button on each and every single video. I greatly appreciate the support. Let's do what we do best, seekers, man. Say it with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
Here are some facts you probably didn't know that one day could save your life.
Talk about it.
If you ever have to eat crickets or similar insects, chew them. Do not swallow them alive. They have spines on their legs which can cling to your throat, blocking your airways, causing you to suffocate to death. If your water ever smells like cinnamon, do not drink it. People often use it to cover up the scent of poison. Everyone hates red eyes in photos, but if your pupils reflect white in a picture, it could be a sign that something is seriously wrong with your eyes, such as cataracts, retina problems, or even eye cancer. If there's ever a shirt or object on the windshield of your car, get in immediately without removing the object. This is a common method that kidnappers use to distract you from getting in your car. If you're ever scuba diving and a giant octopus tries to grab a hold of you, do not try to pry him off. The key to survival is to get him off of one of his anchor points like a rock or a pipe, because he can't pull you down without using the leverage from his anchor.
Interesting. We find octopuses out here.
Psychology hacks you need to know. If someone is trying to make you decide something in a hurry, they're probably giving you a bad deal. Walk away. If someone's starting to have a panic attack, start breathing loudly and regularly. The person that is panicking will subconsciously start breathing with you. When someone in a group of people laughs, they tend to look at the person that they like the most. Nervousness and excitement have the same body reaction, so if you're nervous for a speech, try to convince yourself that you're actually excited. If you can get someone to contribute the idea, they are more likely to accept it. If you think someone is watching you, fake a yawn and then watch them. If you whisper to someone, it's likely that they'll whisper back, even when they have no reason to keep their voice down. Follow for more.
Really whispering? That helps?
Weird facts about the world, part 1. It snows in the Sahara Desert. Coca-Cola does not exist in only 2 countries. Colombia's brightest rainbow is in a river. You're always 7 years behind Ethiopia.
What the hell? So what year is Ethiopia in there right now?
Can someone please explain to me how a person can get stuck inside a turned-on walk-in oven? At around 9:30 p.m. on Saturday, police were called to this Walmart on Mumford Road in Halifax after a 19-year-old woman was found inside one of their walk-in ovens in the bakery section. Police say that the 19-year-old woman was already deceased when they arrived, and they're still investigating what happened. This Walmart has been closed since Saturday. I genuinely don't understand how someone can lock themselves inside a turned-on oven. If you have experience working with these walk-in ovens, please let me know how it works, because I literally have no words.
Her son vanished and was
How
found
did that
dead
happen?
6 years later. In a disturbing twist, police now believe she has been murdered. Lola Karabiva is a 61-year-old woman described by loved ones as beautiful, kind, an amazing woman and a true friend. She was originally from Uzbekistan and didn't actually have any other relatives in the US apart from her husband, 65-year-old Vladimir. She was last seen alive on October the 12th at her house in Philadelphia. She'd just come back from a trip to Europe, which she had been really looking forward to, and neighbors believe she'd been away for roughly 2 or 3 weeks. She was reported missing, and police immediately started looking into where the woman may be. The first port of call was her home, and after 2 unsuccessful searches, they finally had a breakthrough on the 3rd search. They made a horrifying discovery on the 16th of October. Her lifeless body was found wrapped in plastic and taped up in a wardrobe in her home. Police also discovered a dark stain on the floor which they believe may have been blood. So what could the motive be for this horrific murder, and who could have committed it? Interestingly, police are looking into the possibility that an argument could have started between Vladimir and his wife. It's thought that this may have been around her late son. Now, the son disappeared back in 2004 and was then found dead 6 years later. He'd actually been out hiking and was tragically just 19 years old when he vanished. It's reported that the 12th of October would have been his birthday. Vladimir has been arrested and charged with abuse of a corpse, and although there's obviously suspicion surrounding him, he's not actually been charged with her murder as yet. Sola's cause of death is yet to be determined.
Stories that
Always
sound
look at the
fake
husband.
are 100% true. In August 2010, a small passenger plane in the Democratic Republic of Congo was getting ready to take off. But just about 2 hours into their flight, tragedy struck. People living in a nearby town saw the plane plummet to the ground in a nosedive. There were 18 people aboard and only one survived the crash. Authorities couldn't determine what caused the plane to crash. The fuel tank was full and there wasn't anything wrong with the engine. But just 2 days after the crash took place, the lone survivor of the crash woke up from their coma and explained what happened. The man explained that towards the end of their flight, a flight attendant was checking in with the passengers when she suddenly freaked out and ran to the cockpit. The passengers on the plane began to look around to see what was wrong, and they immediately figured it out. Walking towards them from the back of the plane down the aisle was a live crocodile.
What?
Panicking, all of the passengers ran towards the front of the plane away from the animal. This caused a sudden shift of weight inside of the small plane, which led to them crashing. Don't bring crocodiles on planes.
Who brought a crocodile on a plane? And how did that even get past security or something like that? That's... If you heard that story, somebody told that story to you, like just walking, or you heard it, or like you said, you wouldn't believe it. That story doesn't even sound real at all. But it's true. It's pretty explanatory. Don't bring alligators on a plane or crocodiles.
Bizarre and impossible things to be done. How is this possible?
I'm calling cap on that. Or special effects. Is he wearing wires? That's another possibility.
Dirty facts about history that school probably didn't teach you. Part 19. Oscar Wilde was once quoted saying that he was addicted to giving top and said that it greatly inspired him as a writer. The first ever pregnancy test involved injecting a woman's urine directly into a female frog's skin. And if the woman was pregnant, a few hours later, the frog would lay eggs. Paul Revere would ride from Boston to Newport to cheat on his wife. No, babe, the redcoats are actually coming this time. In 1955, the KGB tried to blackmail the president of Indonesia with video footage of him making love with a Russian woman disguised as a flight attendant. However, this backfired because the president did not care and requested the tape so he could flex on his friends back home. Giving someone the finger actually dates back 2,000 years, and it used to mean that you were threatening someone with sex. So while today it means F you, back then it meant I'm going to fuck you.
Here are some humans that have actual superpowers. So Stephen Wiltshire is an autistic artist who can draw an entire cityscape inclusive of all architectural details from his memory after only seeing it once. And speaking of superior memory, Rebecca Sharrock is a woman who can remember with fine detail every day of her entire life. Ben Underwood was a young boy who had sonar vision, meaning that he used echolocation like a bat to interact with the world around him, playing basketball and video games using only sound. Jo Cameron has a genetic mutation that doesn't allow her to feel any kind of pain, whether it's mental or physical, allowing her to burn herself on a stove for minutes at a time without realizing what's happening. Ty Nagak is an 80-year-old Vietnamese man who hasn't slept in 50 years after contracting a fever, and now he just works through the night without ever getting sleepy. Dean Karnazes is able to work past physical exhaustion and has once ran for 350 miles in a row without sleep for 3 days, and as a result, scientists have concluded that he could run until he died of old age. And finally, Wim Hof is able to withstand freezing temperatures and exposure to direct ice for periods of time that medical experts didn't believe were possible, like this 1.5-hour ice bath. Pretty cool, right?
Money facts that will blow.
People like that always freaking blow my mind, man. He stood in that ice bath in the Arctic water for like over an hour. I even hate being in the over there in like a minute or something like that. So they definitely Have some special abilities, man. Crazy. Tell me down below, man. What ability would you guys seekers get if you could have any?
Blow your mind. Content creators on OnlyFans made more money than all of the NBA players combined.
What?
Brennikov has made more in 3 years than Klay Thompson has in his recent 3-year NBA contract. If you've been subscribed to Netflix since 2007, you've paid them almost $2,000. If you had instead invested that $2,000 into Netflix back then, you would have over $350,000 today. Paul Walker secretly bought a $9,000 engagement ring for an Iraq veteran that he overheard in a jewelry store telling his soon-to-be wife that he wasn't going to be able to afford it. Disney spends $50 million a year on fireworks. That's over $130,000 a night. Amazon will lose over $1 billion a year if it went 1 second slower. These are the average retirement savings in the United States by age group. The average for under 35 is $50,000. Average by the time you're 65 is over $600,000. The New York Stock Exchange is owned by a company named Intercontinental Exchange, which has its stock listed on the New York Stock Exchange.
That New York Stock Exchange and that other stock exchange, that looks like some weird things going on, bro. Can't they just like mess with the numbers or something like that? If you really think about it. That's an edit. Call them out, seekers.
This is the age of consent in every country. So the highest age of consent goes to Bahrain at 21, followed by Nepal and South Korea at 20. India, Turkey, Vietnam, Argentina, and Egypt are some countries that place it right at 18, while Mexico, Ireland, and Cyprus have it marked at 17. A majority of countries have it at 16, including Canada, Russia, South Africa, Australia, Spain, Norway, and most of the United States. Inching a bit lower to 15, we have a lot of European countries, as well as Thailand, Costa Rica, and North Korea. 14 brings us to China, Bangladesh, Germany, Italy, Portugal, Brazil, and Colombia. 13 is actually the age of consent in Japan, Niger, and Burkina Faso. The Philippines and Angola have it set right at 12. And the lowest age of consent of them all is Nigeria at just 11 years old. But some countries like Yemen, Pakistan, and Iran, there's no age of consent and you just need to be married.
How old were you when you realized
That's insane.
you've been drinking beer wrong your entire life? You were supposed to drink it warm. I know, I was shocked when I came to find this out. Warm, how warm? Well, it turns out most formulations of beer recipes, they're made to be enjoyed at cellar temperature. What's cellar temperature? Between 50 and 55 degrees Fahrenheit. So, okay, not too cold, but not warm. Well, there's more. Prepare to be blown away. The best beer manufacturers will actually recommend that you drink their beer room temperature, because their beer is so good that any temperature really you can enjoy it, but at room temperature you really get the full flavor and notes of the beer. And then here's the shocking one. The cold beer phenomenon, as in when everyone started chilling their beers to 41 degrees, 40 degrees, that was because there was a lot of bad beer, and cold beer makes bad beer taste decent.
Ooh.
I know. Do with that information as you see fit. And if you made it this far into the video, comment down, "I love tacos," so I know that you made it to the end of the video.
Comment tacos.
Island of Tafiti.
Isn't that in Mulana or something like that? That Disney movie.
In real life.
They just brought it to life with animation. You see the similarities, you can see it. You see the grooves right there.
facts that will mess with your perception of time. Betty White is actually older than sliced bread. By the time women were allowed to vote in Switzerland, NASA had already been driving a buggy on the moon. Karl Marx, the creator of communism, wrote a letter to Abraham Lincoln congratulating him on his re-election. Oxford University existed for hundreds of years before the founding of the Aztec Empire. The fax machine was invented the same year the first wagon crossed the Oregon Trail. The Ottoman Empire still existed the second to last time the Chicago Cubs won the World Series. That means that Turkey was not founded as a country until 15 years later. Star Wars came out the same year that the last guillotine execution was used in France. Follow for more.
Those possessions of times will mess you up.
I'm Gonna Ruin Your Childhood Part 13. Carl died in the beginning of the movie Up. And Russell is his guardian angel, trying to help him cross into heaven. Maybe that's why he had dreams of all of his memories with his wife. But what if Russell isn't just any guardian angel? What if he's Carl and Ellie's miscarried kid? Russell wasn't trying to earn a badge, he was trying to earn his wings.
They put things into
Please, I need
perspective.
your help. Can anybody tell me the name of this movie?
I see you.
Sister, may we help you?
You just lost the element of surprise, demon.
Sister, this is a pre-trial hearing. We're going to have to ask you to sit down, officer.
I'm fine, Your Honor. No recess.
He's the evil coming to New York.
Let me adjust the microphone for you. Now turn. How's that?
Mandela effects that will alter your perception of reality. Part 1. Many iPhone users recall there being a robber emoji with a beanie, a black and white striped shirt, and a money bag thrown over his shoulder.
Yeah.
However, this emoji never existed. In Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, Darth Vader does not say the words, "Luke, I am your father." He actually says this.
No. I am the father.
There was never a Disney intro where Tinkerbell dotted the I in Disney with her wand. Curious George does not have a tail. He never did. And Pikachu never had a black tip at the end of his. The Fruit of the Loom logo does not have a cornucopia. And if you look at the logo's 130-year history, not once did it have a cornucopia in it. And contrary to popular belief, I was never verified on TikTok. But drop a follow and maybe this one will become a reality.
This former
That
teen
Fruit of the
mom star
Loom
is a
one.
pedophile who repeatedly downloaded CP materials on her cell phone. Meet Lori Wicklehouse, who was a star on the TV show Teen Mom when she was only 17. While Lori appeared on the MTV show Teen Mom, she was actually videotaped giving her son up for adoption. And thank God she got that child out of her hands, because later on in life she would be arrested for some extremely disturbing things. So on August 13th, 2020, a 20-count indictment was handed down to Lori, and it was an arrest warrant. Apparently, according to the police report, child sex abuse material had been found on Lori's phone and her computer. Apparently, the Kentucky State Police Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force received a report from an anonymous person about what Lori was doing online. Apparently, for some reason, she had uploaded child sex abuse material to a Dropbox account that was traced to her. This story goes to show that it's not always men that can be pedophiles, it can be women too. So after the trial, Lori was found guilty and she was sentenced to 6.5 years in prison for the possession of CP. But she seems to be smugly smiling in prison and doesn't seem to care about the children that she hurt in doing these horrific things. And even on the day of her sentencing for her sex crimes, Lori was placed in jail again for holding the court in contempt. So she hasn't exactly been a model prisoner, but thankfully she is still in prison. And once again, I'm just so glad that she ended up giving her baby up for adoption.
Carlos Rodriguez right here killed
Never
Zoe
know.
Campos right here because he was hallucinating and thought that she was a demon. He even sent a handwritten letter to detail the killing in 2013 and why he did it. He admitted that he was wrong and he wanted everyone to know the truth 5 to 6 years later. He stated he's not a murderer, he just committed a reckless act. That reckless act happened to be murder though. He said he was hallucinating after smoking some sort of synthetic marijuana. He started losing track of time and hallucinating, seeing Zoe as a demon. Fast forward 5 years after that incident, in 2018 and early 2019, that's when her skeletal remains were found. He also stated in his letter, as soon as she started to laugh, he heard a demonic scream and her face started to melt, according to him. That's when he snapped and started choking her, or what he thought was a demon at least. He claimed he wasn't in the right state of mind, however, he knew he was wrong in this instance. Now, Carlos ended up pleading guilty on August 15th of 2022. Because of the actions and the murder, he is facing life in prison for this. There's no way around this. Let me know your thoughts about this case in the comment section below, guys.
Stay away from drugs, man. That's the ultimate message. That really, like they said, it alters your mind, makes you see things that aren't there. Warps your perspective. I stay away from stuff like that always.
This is a good one. Let's talk about Wrinkles the Clown. Wrinkles is a clown based in Florida, and you can hire him to scare your misbehaving children. And there's even still an active phone number you can call, and you'll get sent to his voicemail to leave a request. The problem arose when he started showing up randomly all across Florida. Kids were reporting a clown would follow them home, even at night. There are several videos of people seeing Wrinkles the Clown outside of their house staring at them through the window. And there were also reports of him being on playgrounds waiting for children. This was all just so he could scare them. They even made a whole movie based on this clown because it was so terrifying. Let me know what you guys think about Wrinkles the Clown in the comments section.
Clowns are creepy, bro. Like, that's dead.
Here's something no one's talking about. Trees and land absorbed almost no CO2 last year. And the consequences of that is not just devastating, but it's something most scientists haven't even factored in to their climate models. I mean, just look at what's happening in Finland. You see, humans emit a bunch of carbon into the atmosphere each year, but thankfully about half of all of our emissions is absorbed by the planet's oceans, forests, soils, and other natural carbon sinks. And carbon sinks being a phrase that scientists use to describe something that absorbs more carbon than it releases. But shockingly, this preprint study found that in 2023, Earth's land as a CO2 sink almost dropped to a net zero, the lowest it's been in over 2 decades. And it also showed that because of that drop, and we'll get into the reasons why, the ocean actually increased in CO2 absorption to compensate. And while that absorption plays a critical role, it also presents several dangers. One of which we just saw with Hurricane Helene in Milton, because the more carbon the ocean absorbs, the warmer they become, which then contributes to more and more extreme weather events. And what's happening in Finland is one of the craziest examples of this. WSTUB. They have one of the most ambitious net zero targets in the world, with aims to reach that target roughly 15 years ahead of other European countries. But despite cutting emissions by a massive 43% across all other sectors, because the amount of CO2 that their forests absorb in particular has declined by a staggering 90% from 2009 to 2022, Finland's net emissions are about the same levels as they were in the 1990s. It's as if nothing happened for 30 years. And this paper cited similar declines in regions around the world, like Europe, North America, and Southeast Asia, but most severely affected the Amazon rainforest. Shockingly, a severe drought towards the end half of 2023 caused the region to switch from being a carbon sink to becoming a net carbon source. Now honestly, the truth as to why this is happening is not fully understood, but 2023 was the hottest year on record, and researchers at least currently believe that these declines are primarily attributed to droughts, wildfires, and heat waves. Hopefully what happened in 2023 could be temporary and we could see a bounce back, and they say it is critical we do, because any hope of reaching net zero is impossible without nature. This is all.
That's crazy to think about it. Maybe that's why all those like hurricanes, like I said, was the one I had in Florida, like Hurricane Milton and stuff, is because the ocean is absorbing too much CO2. We gotta take care of our planet, man. We don't want bad things to happen to it. That's crazy, especially about the fact about Finland. Like, they did all that work and it made it seem like it was for nothing.
Library room in the Conjuring house. It actually used to be Roger Perrin's bedroom, the father of the Perrin family. And he supposedly suffered multiple demonic attacks and even saw the ghost of the witch Bathsheba in this room. The current owners of the home have also seen this book fly off the shelf.
I would stay out of that home.
This is your Cuero Agua, one
Simple.
of the creepiest execution videos in the world explained. The video that I'm about to explain is about 30 seconds long, and it's the creepiest and one of the most disturbing videos out there. And whatever you do, don't go searching for it. The video begins with a suspected cartel member with his face completely flayed and skinned, and he is still alive. Now, you don't see this happening, but you do see the aftermath. All of the skin on his face has been completely removed. Nothing that resembles facial features are there anymore. No skin, no lips, no eyelids, absolutely nothing. This video almost doesn't look real, but it has been confirmed to be 100% real. It almost looks like and feels like an 80s slasher film. Throughout the video, it's just his captors mocking him and having a good time enjoying the pain they inflicted on him. They ask him questions throughout the video like, do you want water? Which the victim replies, yo quiero agua, which means I want water. The captors continue to just mock and mess with the victim throughout the whole video. It also looks like they skinned some of his chest off too, which I can't even imagine the pain. Now, the video is gory and hard to watch, but that's not really what makes this video disturbing. The video is just honestly extremely creepy. For example, how the guy looks after his face was skinned. The best way I could describe it is that his face was stuck in a constant grin, but he has no face. It's almost like they cut off his face in a way to make him smile permanently. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's an extremely messed up visual. Also, the way the victim sounds while he's talking to his captors is also extremely disturbing. His voice is just so raspy, it almost sounds demonic and not human at all. Now, we all know the video Funky Town, and people who saw Funky Town compare this video to it all the time. Now, it's not Funky Town disturbing, but it is extremely disturbing. All in all, it isn't a pleasant video to look at or watch, and I urge you to never ever go searching for it.
I don't. His descriptions are freaking vivid enough in my mind. I don't need to see that. It looks like an edit. That's an edit. We see him, bro. We see through the fake.
Girls went hiking in Panama, disappeared, and left behind their camera with disturbing photos. Chris Kremers and Lisanne Froon were students from the Netherlands, and they spent about 6 months planning their trip to Panama that was supposed to serve as part vacation and part service trip. They planned on spending some time hiking, touring, volunteering with local children, teaching arts and crafts, and learning Spanish. Lisanne and Chris have been hiking around the Panamanian jungle for the last 2 weeks as part of a backpacking mission trip. They intended to stay for the next 4 weeks with a host family to volunteer at a local school. However, when they waved goodbye to their host family at 11 a.m. on April 1st, they were never seen again. The girls had wrote on a Facebook post that they were going to tour a local village and they were having brunch with 2 Dutchmen before embarking on their hiking journey. On the night of April 1st, the host family noticed that there was something wrong. Their dog had returned safe and sound, but the girls were nowhere to be found. The host family looked around the area of their home, but decided to wait till the morning to alert authorities. The next morning, Lisanne and Chris missed an appointment with a local tour guide, and this prompted the host family to alert the authorities. By April 6th, the girls were still missing, and their families ended up flying to Panama, bringing detectives with them from the Netherlands. Along with local police and dog units, they searched the forest for 10 days. Days turned into weeks, and after 10 weeks, there was still no sign of Lisanne or Chris. As police were slowing their search efforts, a woman turned in a blue backpack to authorities, claiming to have found it near the banks of the river. Inside of the backpack, they found 2 sunglasses, 2 bras, a water bottle, $83, and Lisanne's passport. Also inside, most importantly, they found Lisanne's camera and both of their cell phones. Police immediately began investigating the camera and cell phones and came up with some disturbing evidence. The phones had remained in service about 10 days after the girls had gone missing. As they were looking at the phones, there was about 77 separate times they tried to call the police.
Damn.
And with these call logs, they were able to come up with a time frame of how long these girls were in the forest. It seemed like all of these calls were not going through since they were in the forest, but only one of them went through, but after 2 seconds, it disconnected. As police were looking at the camera, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. The first photo was of Lisanne and Chris as they were starting their hike for the day. But as the photos progressed, it became more worrisome. There was a photo taken on April 8th between 1 to 4 a.m., and it was showing the girls' belongings spread out on a rock. There was plastic bags, candy wrappers, and most importantly, there was a photo of the back of Chris's head, and there was blood leaking from her temple. Police were investigating where the backpack was found, and they discovered Chris's clothes neatly folded near the edge of the river. About 2 months later, in that same area, a pelvic bone and a foot were found in a boot. And soon after that, the bones of the 2 girls were discovered. As investigators were looking at the bones, they were looking at Lisanne's bone, and it looked like they had decomposed naturally. There was still some flesh attached to dark white as if they had been bleached. Police questioned the locals, tour guides, and hikers in that area, but no one seemed to know what had happened to those girls, and there was not enough evidence to determine the cause of death. To this day, the disappearance and deaths of Lisanne and Chris remain a mystery.
The easiest horror movie characters to survive, part 3.
Here we go.
Now, last time I checked, the reason that the demon transfers is because you're about to see someone unalive themselves. Now, I'm big brain, so why don't I just close my eyes before someone ends up doing that? And I avoid the demon altogether. There's no way he's going to transfer through my eyelids if they're shut. So as long as I don't see someone doing that, I should be good. You then have any version of Ghostface. Now, yes, I know there's multiple Ghostfaces, sometimes 3, sometimes 2, sometimes 1, but they're all stupid. If you really look at these movies and you see how clumsy these characters are, they're just getting lucky. They're not actually making big brain plays. Most of the time, you're hitting them with fridges or outrunning them, throwing things down the stairs, and they're getting tripped up. They're just normal people. If you find out that there's a mass unaliver in your town, and it could possibly be your friend, hop in your car, check the back seat in the trunk, and dip. And if you have to fight them one-on-one, hopefully there's only one, but 9 times out of 10, you should be able to catch a break enough to run away. You then have my boy Jason Voorhees. Now, I'm not talking the 2009 remake where bro is a hunter and can sprint. I'm talking about normal, slow-walking Jason Voorhees. Most of the time, bro's only hanging out at Camp Crystal Lake. Just don't go camping at Camp Crystal Lake. Second, bro walks everywhere. Yes, extremely strong, super strength, inhuman durability. Just don't get in his way. I know I'm making it sound simple, but if you really think about it, in most of the movies, people are messing with him for no reason. Why are you coming back to Camp Crystal Lake? Stay home. Like and follow if you'd like to see a part 4.
Disturbing body facts that
would you guys survive?
Day, if you have a surgery where your other organs need to be moved around, they might not function a day after the surgery because the body assumes they're just dead. Next, the brain is the last thing to function when you pass away, meaning in most cases you'll hear, feel, and smell your last moments on Earth. And it's possible to die from a pimple. Let me explain. If a pimple gets infected, let's say from you itching it, the infection could get into your bloodstream, causing you to have an intense fever. Then, a few days later, you will start having seizures and vomiting everywhere, so try not to play too much with your pimples. And finally, it's possible to get brain damage from a toothache, because if you have a tooth infection, there's a high chance of it getting to the brain if it's not taken care in time.
Man, I never even knew that. The more you know.
Elephants are the biggest crash outs in the animal kingdom, and no, that's not a weight joke. These drug merchants can be menaces when they want to be, and whoever decided to lie and make this up actively took names off the census, which the elephants don't need help doing, seeing as the pachyderms pass 10 to 500 people a year, allegedly. Y'all remember that elephant that broke out of a sanctuary, traveled over 100 miles just to life-deprive a 70-year-old senior citizen while she was getting water, and he stayed mad for 100 miles straight. Not only that, he pulled up to her funeral, grabbed her soul-divorced body, and said, you know what, 0 HP ain't enough, I need you in the negatives. Now, a lot of y'all said she deserved it because she was involved in poaching and elephant mafia slit, and yeah, that could be true. She also could have breathed, since sometimes that's all it takes. There's a reality where someone's grandmother got murked completely unprovoked. Got put on a shirt, except the shirt was reversible. Like all males, eventually elephants get to the point where all they want to do is multiply without a calculator. Damn, what's on the camera, did he? The problem is, when they're big enough to want it but not big enough to do something about it, they act out by attempting to off each other. Of course, sometimes they get frustrated when they smell the scent of a female on a baby, leading to them yeeting the baby. He really just Kobe the calf. He's fine though. Now, but the worst crash outs are the ones we created. So poaching, right? It's usually the older, bigger bulls that get hit the hardest, obviously. Problem is, without those same seasoned bulls, the younger, immature bulls start wilding all the way out. What happens when you get hormonal, teenage, 10,000-pound frat boys with no father figure? Hell if I know. For an elephant, fatherless behavior means turning an angry unicorn from a titan to a whiteout. In the 90s, 3 angsty elephants murked not 1, not 2, not 10, but 63 rhinos got folded by the 3 musketeers of malice. It wasn't until they brought back the older seasoned bulls that the younger males fell back in line. They're chill most of the time, but let them flip that switch and they're editing the census with a backspace button. Still my favorite animal, though.
Hey, man, elephants, they had the definition of a crash out in the animal kingdom, bro. He broke it down for us. I thought they were sweet, bro.
The teacher is going to prison after making a teenager do something absolutely shocking. It was 2023 at South Fremont High School in St. Anthony, Idaho. That November, school teacher Jessica Lawson, age 36, was arrested. The story that would unfold would go on to shock the local community. Jessica was sat in the passenger seat of a car and police spotted it due to a damaged tailgate. And thank God police did stop this car. When officers looked inside, they found the teacher was with a teenage boy. Now, the teenager was actually driving the car, and they decided to get them to pull over and to interview the boy in private. What they discovered was truly disturbing. The teacher had picked the child up from his parents' house. She allegedly gave him alcohol and substances and then had SA'd him. She ultimately made the teenager then drive her vehicle because she was too intoxicated. She was arrested and given 2 years in prison, but she could now be facing more time behind bars. This is for pleading guilty to S, battery of a child. He's also been given a 20-year no contact order with the victim of this crime.
This doll is so dangerous it's locked in a box. This doll right here is named Robert, and he's the most infamous doll in the entire world. And the story behind him will creep you out. In 1904, a little boy received Robert the doll as a birthday gift. At first there was nothing wrong, like he was just a normal doll. But then the little boy started saying strange things like, Robert made me do it, Robert told me to say this. And this little boy was very well behaved up until this point. He never got into trouble. But now he was getting into trouble every single day at school and blaming it on the doll. One day the family woke up to the little boy screaming on the floor with the doll on top of him with a knife. People even claimed to see the doll moving. And now this doll is locked in a box in the Florida Keys. A lot of him that go to visit him think it's fake at first, but then they claim to feel some kind of demonic force once they actually go into the room. There's even a sign that makes you ask him for permission to take a photo. And they say if you don't, you end up having a lot of bad luck after. Do you think this could be demonic?
Ooh. Animals with shock.
Dude, man, we be seeing that Robert doll in a couple of clips, so I think there's merit to those claims, especially about them. They saying how people be taking pictures of them and bad stuff happened to them. That's some dark energy in that Robert doll, bro. Stay away.
Shocking defense mechanisms. Horned lizard. This small reptile can shoot blood from its eyes as a defense mechanism. It lives in Northern and Central America. The blood contains chemicals that taste bad to predators, helping the lizard escape. Hairy frog. It is also known as the Wolverine frog because it can break its own bones and push them through its skin to form sharp claws when threatened. This horror frog lives in Central Africa.
The fastest things in the
Wolverine
world,
frog?
part 2.
Crazy.
Fastest internet, Singapore, 184.65 megabits per second. Fastest running insect, Australian tiger beetle, 5.6 miles per hour. Fastest woman, Florence Joyner, 22 miles per hour. Fastest helicopter, Boeing V-22 Osprey, 351 miles per hour. Fastest spacecraft, NASA's Parker Solar Probe, 93 miles per second.
This woman passed away a few hours after this photo was taken when she flew to Turkey for a mommy makeover. 38-year-old Kaydel Brown flew from the UK to Istanbul with her sister Leanne, and she had a procedure done at Clinic Expert. Her procedure included a tummy tuck, liposuction, and BBL. The entire process leading up to the surgery was perfect. They even offered a discount for Kaydel, and that's what made her want to do her surgery here. But things took a turn a few hours into the surgery when the doctor came out and told her sister that Kaydel was dead. This is the doctor that performed her surgery, and she said that with these types of procedures, it is very high risk. Now, you would think that things could not get worse, but when Kaydel's body was brought back to the UK, the coroner told her family that large parts of her organs were missing, such as her brain and her heart. During an interview, the sister said that legally they couldn't do anything and that the clinic was allowed to take the organs if they wanted to.
They returned a body, they'd kept pieces of her heart and her intestines. How hard was that to hear? Better. I don't think it was allowed, but they said it's legal, they can take what they want. I thought you'd have to ask at least permission from family before you took anything, but they sent a death certificate straight away and just put no, there's not even a cause of death.
But a lot of people believe that her organs were removed to sell them.
I mean, we've heard how organs are very valuable, so that's definitely a possibility, man. People be risking their lives, man, when they be getting these BBLs and things like that. To me, it's not worth it at the end of the day, because something like that can happen. Tragedy. Edit. Call them out, man. Like I said, if I see any others, call them out.
Just agreed to be euthanized. Former Royal Air Force engineer Pete Scott and his retired nurse wife Christine have signed up for a double SUI pod in Switzerland. where voluntary assisted suey has been legal since 1942. The pair made the decision after 80-year-old Christine was diagnosed with early-stage vascular dementia. Married for 46 years, they plan to die peacefully together in each other's arms with the help of the sarcophagus pod. This controversial death capsule works by replacing air with 100% nitrogen, which quickly renders the occupant unconscious and fully stops their breathing within 10 minutes, resulting in a swift, painless death. As stated by Pete, we have had long, happy, healthy, fulfilled lives, but here we are in old age and it does not do nice things to you. The idea of watching the slow degradation of Chris's mental abilities is horrific to me. Obviously, I would care for her to the point I could not, but she has nursed enough people with dementia throughout her career to be adamant that she wants to remain in control of herself and her life. Assisted dying gives her that opportunity, and I would not want to go on living without her.
The dumbest conspiracy theories on Earth that people actually believe.
Break it down.
So, let's take a look. The moon doesn't exist. Right. Yeah, sure. People believe the moon is a hologram that is projected into the sky every night. What? Oh my days. Now, I'm sorry. The dinosaurs built the pyramids of Egypt. Yeah, I bet they did. Who is writing these? What? It says that it was written in the Old Testament that dinosaurs helped the Egyptians to build the Great Pyramids. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. Lizard people are running the world. Look, I'm not being funny, mate. This isn't Spider-Man. What? No. Approximately 12 million people in America believe that the government is made out of lizards. Guys, if you're watching this video, what are you doing? What are you doing?
They might be mad to the lizard ones, though. I've
Here
seen
are some
those
humans
clips.
that have actual superpowers. So Stephen Wiltshire is an autistic artist who can draw an entire cityscape inclusive of all architectural details from his memory after only seeing it once.
A loose goat returned home with a medal after he accidentally joined a half marathon over the weekend, and his owner only found out when she woke up to find social media flooded with photos of her goat in the middle of the race. Joshua the goat lives at a pumpkin patch in Conception Bay South, and the route for the town's very first Trailway Trek half marathon went right by his home. Mr. Joshua is a very friendly little guy, and he's used to following people around while accompanying his family on walks. So when he saw people running by, he must have thought it was a cue for him to join. Fueled by adrenaline, Joshua managed to escape his pen and started keeping pace with the runners as if he were a trained athlete. Volunteers tried to contain him, but Joshua was determined to run his race, dodging anyone who tried to stop him. Meanwhile, Heidi Taylor, the owner of Taylor's Pumpkin Patch, had no idea that Joshua had made his own morning plans until she happened to check social media and came face to face with dozens of photos of her goat mid-marathon. She used the post to track his location and showed up with his favorite snacks, which finally enticed him to take a break. Once he was secured on a leash, Heidi took Joshua to the finish line, where he was presented with a medal for finishing first place in the goat division. Joshua ran an estimated total of 3 miles, but in the eyes of the locals, he was the race's undisputed champion. He's now back home, resting after his big day. And Jen and I post something positive every day.
This is what the perfect human body looks like according to science. And yes, women would have bloody baby pouches. A group of anatomists wanted to see what a person would look like if the human body evolved for peak functionality, and then took inspiration from other species that do things better. So firstly, the human 2.0 would have a sturdy chimp's lower back and the shock-absorbing legs of an emu. Just posing it here for all my feet people out there. Rare. To improve blood circulation, she has tiny pumps in her groin. I'm not hearing anybody else. Senses would be enhanced by having supersized eyes and the ears of a cat. Apparently titties are a flaw and had to go. Alright. Inside, we'd have the reliable heart of a dog, the graceful lungs of a swan, a choke-proof windpipe, and to ensure a pain-free childbirth, women would nurse their babies in a marsupial pouch. So the question is, if this is what the perfect woman would look like, what would change for a man?
That's like it looked like a freaking human hybrid mixed up with just different animals combined. What were those? That's what the perfect, I guess they said evolutionized human look like. It's gonna look like in a couple of years. I don't know. What do you guys think? That's a head
An
turner.
animal that doesn't die? Giant Galapagos tortoise can live 150 years old. There's a quahog named Ming that was 500 years old. But this fascinating creature doesn't die. Tiny jellyfish are known as biologically immortal. If adult's injured or can't find food, folds in on itself and turns back into a larva. Like a butterfly back to a caterpillar. So do they just live for millions of years? Still dies if it gets eaten.
Wow, what the hell? That was a freaking pretty sick evolutionary cycle. It could turn back to a larva, bro, I guess, to make food. That's
Let's try to
interesting.
guess the religion of these YouTubers. Mr. Beast, I feel like he's Catholic, no? He's gotta be a Christian for sure. I know Chandler definitely is. Agnostic, really? I wouldn't expect that.
Hmm?
Speed is Christian for sure. Not sure which denomination, but definitely Christian. Yep, there we go. Same with Kai. I feel like a lot of the streamers are religious. Yep, there we go. PewDiePie. Well, he's European, so I feel like there's a decent chance he's Christian. But he's a curveball, and he lives in Japan now, so maybe like a Buddhist. No atheist, really.
Okay.
Markiplier's a curveball to me. I feel like he could be anything. Maybe like agnostic for him. A-religious. So what's that? Like non-religious, basically? Aiden Ross is Jewish for sure. Yep, Jewish. And then I know Ryan Tran's like a converted Christian. He's big into God now. Yep. Alright, nice.
Things humans weren't meant to see.
Okay. Did any of those YouTubers shock you? I ain't gonna lie, we're gonna have to call Cap on this, man. It's a good edit though, but yeah, I'm calling Cap. Yeah, that's Cap. Like I said, if y'all see anything that's Cap, bro, I need y'all help call it out. So we can learn together, man. This should be trending worldwide of footage like this actually got out. Wait, what the heck? Looks like a damn dog.
Things that only 0.01% of people can do. Touching your nose with your tongue. Yeah, I can't do it. Apparently some people can't just raise one eyebrow. I think I can do it. And apparently some people can't cross their eyes, and I'm pretty sure I just did it. Sneeze with your eyes open. Okay, that's impossible. Nobody can do that. Apparently rolling your tongue is super rare. So apparently I'm a rare person. Apparently some people can bend their hand upwards. How is that possible?
People who turn themselves
Can any of you guys do that, bro? I couldn't do none of that.
into animals. Toko-san. A Japanese man has spent 12,000 pounds on a hyper-realistic costume to fulfill his lifetime dream of being an animal. He commissioned Zemet, a company that makes costumes for TV adverts and films, to produce his bespoke costume. Took them 40 days.
The world's first human dog.
Did you know there might be a
Okay.
dead body in the cargo space of the next airplane you fly in, and you wouldn't even know? Hello, and welcome to Not So Fun Facts, a series where I tell you unsettling facts. Back in the 18th and 19th centuries, dentures were sometimes made out of dead soldiers' teeth. As you can imagine, they didn't last very long. Have you ever felt something so cold that it felt hot? Some people who die of hypothermia are found naked because as their body temperature drops, they start to feel burning hot and take off their clothes, leading to an even quicker death. Like and follow for more.
There was something evil in this woman's room, because it looked like her dog was telling her she saw something that her owner couldn't. A woman in Sydney was woken up at 5 a.m. by her dog, Coda. She started shaking uncontrollably and looking at something that was in the room with them.
Mm-hmm. She's shaking. It's like you're in a defensive
The
position.
woman kept looking to see what it was, but she couldn't see anything. But strangely, Coda was on the fence the whole time.
You can see it's trying to protect its owner. Dogs can
Coda
see
then
the
hopped
spirit.
in the bed, keeping her eyes on whatever was there, aggressively growling at it. What exactly did Coda see in that room? And what would you do in this situation? Let me know what you think.
I'm getting the hell out the roof.
She's known as the most haunted doll in Iowa and one of the most haunted dolls in the United States. It's said that Ginger is possessed by a demon. People have seen her move by herself. She's been recorded jumping off of tabletops, and people have watched her pick things up. Nobody knows what type of a spirit is inside of Ginger, but she's kept locked in this box because people are so afraid of her. Look into her eyes, and you might see a demon. The full video of us investigating Ginger at the haunted Malvern Manor will be out this Wednesday on the Paranormal Files, my YouTube channel. The link is in my bio.
Robert got some competition, bro. Robert versus Ginger. Who gonna win? Haunted dolls.
Psychology hacks you need to know. If someone is trying to make you decide something in a hurry, they're most likely giving you a bad deal, and you should just walk away. If a person is trying to intimidate you, stare at their forehead with a blank expression. This will psychologically make them self-conscious. Chewing gum when you're nervous really does help, because your brain thinks, I'm eating, so I must not be in danger. If you want to know if someone is interested in what you're saying, cross your arms. If they cross their arms too, this is called mirroring, and it actually means they're interested in the conversation. If you need to remember to do something tomorrow, just put something in your room out of place. The next day, you'll see this item out of place, and you'll remember why you put it there. Finally, if two people are arguing, stand in between them and eat something. It'll help alleviate the tension.
Really? I've seen that a couple of times before. I wonder why people did
Things
that.
almost no humans can do, apart from not shot, and if you can, then you're bloody weird. This is where you bend your thumb back onto your hand like that. Only 1% of humans can actually do this. Try this video if you can do it.
I can't. You guys try.
Humans were never meant to see. They strapped a camera on a shark, and look what it captured.
Hold on. Shark GoPro?
You can see the camera is attached. Now, as the shark goes deeper in the water, you won't believe the shocking sighting it caught. Wait for it.
What it saw?
Now look closely.
You guys see it? Oh, that's like look like a big hand. What the fuck?
Here it comes.
Oh, I thought we already saw it. What the fuck?
Is that a mermaid?
If kids' drawings were real,
Mm.
easily one of the most creepiest videos I think I've ever looked at. I mean, the one I think terrifies me the most. Just strange, distorted faces, man. Gosh, this is like nightmare fuel. And the cat.
It is. It's pure nightmare fuel, bro.
Maps that will change the way you see the world. This is how many lives of politicians were ended in Mexico just in the first half of 2024. Any
Damn.
country in blue on this map used to display people at zoos. This map shows air quality in Europe. Dark blue is the cleanest air, and red is the air that can cause problems. This map shows every nuclear power plant in the world, with green being operational, red being shut down, and blue being under construction. In the state in red is where a popular adult entertainment website has been banned as of July 1st. This map shows where all of the pirate attacks have been located in the 21st century, with red being the very hot areas. There are 1 billion people in each individual color on this map. This map shows the topography of Peru, and this map shows the topography of Germany. These are the hottest temperatures that have ever been recorded in every U.S. state. This map
Damn.
shows which gender has the highest BMI on average. The red countries are where more women have a higher BMI, and the blue countries are where more men have a higher BMI. And yellow is just equal.
I saw a lot of red, bro. And blue. Man, you gotta do better, bro.
Let's talk about some of the craziest true crime documentaries that are coming out in October.
Talk about
we're
it.
gonna get some of the best of the year. The Menendez brothers are getting a documentary on Netflix where they're actually going to tell their own story. This is, of course, coming on the heels of the Netflix Ryan Murphy show about them, but in this one, they're actually interviewed. Also, I'm Kaylin, and I love giving recommendations if you want to follow along. And then 2 days later, we're actually getting a Scamanda documentary on Hulu. That's the story of how Amanda Riley scammed people out of hundreds of thousands of dollars by pretending to have cancer. It was originally a podcast, and so was Sweet Bobby, which is also getting a documentary this month. It follows one of the craziest catfishing stories I've ever heard, and you kind of just have to see it to believe it. And this one's kind of crazy, but there was a Chris Brown documentary kind of made in secret called A History of Violence. It's going to be on Hulu, and it was actually made by the people who made Quiet on Set earlier this year.
Ooh.
And then in time for spooky season, Disney Plus is putting out Witches, The Truth Behind the Trials. It promises to tell a kind of unknown history about the witch trials starting back when they were taking place in Europe. And then the one I'm probably the most excited for is a Netflix doc called This Is the Zodiac Speaking. It's a 3-part docuseries that apparently really focuses in on one suspect in the Zodiac case. Which ones are you going to be watching this month?
The brand new poster.
You guys gonna check that out?
I think it's safe to say this might be the best horror movie of this year. You literally have Art the Clown unaliving a Santa Claus with a chainsaw. He's then gonna wear his suit. Well, with the fact that Art the Clown is finally coming to a video game, he's gonna be in Call of Duty in the next couple days. He's finally starting to get the recognition he deserves. With that, here's every theory in my own theory for Terrifier 3. Starting with my own, at some point Sienna's gonna be going to the 9th Circle of Hell, aka the first spot Art the Clown took his victims in order to get immortality. She's gonna go there and either sacrifice herself or someone else, or put something up as fodder in order to get Art the Clown off of Earth. Then I have a theory online speculating that the final girl from the first movie is going to be possessed by a demon and try to unalive Art the Clown with Sienna and her brother. Now that made sense to me for a while, until I took another look at the original photo that came out for this movie. She's with Art the Clown sitting on top of an unalived Santa Claus. Is Art the Clown the demon that's possessing her? I think that's a massive possibility. It's that strong. I've also been seeing theories online that this is young Sienna, and her first time seeing Art the Clown. She was over at her friend's house or at a sleepover during Christmas time. Art the Clown came in and unalived everybody's parents, and that's where his obsession with her started, hence the reason he's all about her. Me personally, I genuinely have no idea where this movie's going. All I know is it's going to be absolutely insane, and the first 5 minutes are going to shock everybody.
Maps that will change the way you see the world. This is
Yeah,
a
no,
prediction
check
of
out
what the
scary
world is
movies,
going to
though.
look like 250 million years from now. These are the CO2 emissions across the Indian subcontinent, with the lightest, whitest areas being the highest.
Damn.
This map shows all of the foreign military presence that is sitting in Africa right now. This map shows the most valuable Italian brands and where exactly they came from. If you draw a straight line between the northernmost point and southernmost point in the contiguous United States, along with the westernmost point to the easternmost point, the lines do not intersect. This map shows what the size of the Great Lakes would look like if it was in Europe. This map shows which state you could find the highest percentage of people with ancestry from every European country. This map shows where every popular sitcom took place. Every red dot on this map is a football pitch or a soccer field if you're from the United States. This map shows that in 1990, most of the United States had 15% or less obese adults in their state, where less than 30 years later, now almost every state has more than 25% obesity rates.
The deadliest game show I bet
Sad.
you've never heard of. The show was called The Chamber, and only 3 episodes aired before it was canceled. Why cancel it so soon? Well, they literally tortured the contestants. The game was rather simple. In the pre-game face-off, 2 contestants would go back and forth answering questions. The winner moved on to the main game. The loser was sent home packing. The main game is where you would enter into the chamber. You were offered a $500 buyout if you didn't want to go any further, but nobody took it. When you entered the chamber, you would be strapped into a chair and hooked up to electrodes, muscle contractors, and medical equipment. And then a computer would choose whether you got the hot chamber or the cold. Once the chamber was sealed, the game began, and your goal was simple. Answer as many questions as quickly as you can while surviving the environmental torture that was thrown at you. In the hot chamber, they could increase the temperature up to 170 degrees Fahrenheit.
Hell no.
Simulated earthquakes would also shake the chamber, going up to a 9.5 on the Richter scale. The more you progressed, the more the muscle contractors would activate. The chair would move back and forth, up and down, and rotate in complete circles. They would even drop the oxygen levels in the chamber, as well as blasting you in the face with winds up to 140 miles an hour. The cold chamber was equally as torturous, Honestly, if not worse, the temperature could drop to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. In the cold chamber, instead of rotating the chair, they would be sprayed with water jets, causing ice to form on the players. The game would end in a few different ways. If you answer 2 questions in a row wrong, you were out. If the medical team felt you were going to pass, you were also out. You could also yell stop the chamber to forfeit, which, surprise, surprise, nobody did. A total of 6 episodes were made, and the 3 unaired episodes reportedly had an insect chamber, an electric shock chamber, and a water torture chamber.
No.
The most you could have won on the show was around $120,000.
What?
The most anybody ever actually won was $20,000. That person, Scott Brown, got through all 7 levels of the cold chamber and was actually hospitalized afterwards. He then sued Fox and won $100,000.
This is why you should never trust strangers you meet on vacation. When Ben and Louise Dalton take a trip to Italy with their daughter Agnes, they befriend a charming British family that persuades them to visit their remote country estate in England. And the Daltons are hesitant to accept the invitation at first, but they decide it might just be the trip they need. But once they get to Patty and Kira's remote, secluded farmstead, far away from anyone and everything they've ever known, Ben, Louise, and Agnes discover that who they thought this British family was on vacation isn't exactly who they are at home. And over the course of the trip, they spot several red flags, but each time Patty assures them that there is good reason for his unique behavior. But when the daughter Agnes discovers that something evil is about to happen to the family, they've had enough. But it might just be too late. But if you want to know what happens next, you'll need to check out Speak No Evil in theaters now.
Okay,
that's
so
based
are
off
we
the
gonna
movie.
die in 8 minutes? Okay, so the sun may have exploded and we wouldn't even know it for at least 8 minutes. Light from the sun takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds to hit Earth. Meaning if the sun suddenly blew up, we actually wouldn't know for that period of time. This is because light travels faster than anything else and we wouldn't be able to hear an explosion from space. While this can cause a lot of anxiety, our sun will never explode. It doesn't have enough mass to create a supernova. A star needs to have a mass of 10 times that of our sun in order for it to explode. If the sun were to explode, it would take around 134 days for the shockwave to reach Earth. But the neutrinos and radiation travel at the speed of light and would reach us in 8 minutes and we would all die. So realistically, we can all die in 8 minutes at any given time in our life, because we would have no idea that the sun exploded in that time. This is extremely scary, not only because we would all die, but because it's completely out of anyone's control.
Celebrities who changed
They
their
were spitting.
looks after becoming the famous Doja Cat.
It's like
Before.
peekaboo to like what's next. So like once you see it from the front, like that.
And nah.
Who made it? Wow. Wow. Okay, so something a little different. So what was your inspiration for tonight? Wow. Wow. Wow.
Sam Smith.
You would have thought the more that you travel, the more okay you get with flying, but I'm finding it really hot.
And nah.
This is crazy.
Melanie Martinez. Before. And nah.
This is a sneak peek that nobody knows about. So people have been asking about the Crybaby perfume restock, and we can't do that just because the manufacturer doesn't exist anymore.
Man, people say, man, when you get to like that Hollywood spotlight or you get that certain level of fame, it changes you. You show with 3 people, man, back to back. Doja Cat, Sam Smith, and Melanie Martinez. It's like they shifted, they changed it to a completely different person, man. That's awesome. That fame ain't worth it to me.
nothing to console Regina, who was hurt, frustrated, and angry. Instead, he called her a fat B-word. At that moment, Regina lost control. She doused him in gasoline and lit his private area on fire with an angel candle that a fortune teller had given her. Doing this until she lost his life. Regina said that she didn't intend to unalive Satish. She just wanted to purify his private area and to stop the affair with the devil. Regina was acquitted of murder, convicted of manslaughter, and sentenced to 6 years in prison. The Supreme Court ended up overturning the verdict and released her on a $3-year, $1,000 good behavior bond.
What the hell is that? That was the most lopsided case, man, I think we've heard yet, Seekers. Basically serve no punishment. Tell you, the justice system be like this sometimes. You gotta find a good.
So these videos of Diddy with Justin Bieber when he was only 15 years old are resurfacing, and the one thing that I want to ask is, why was a 40-year-old hanging around with a 15-year-old? Why did no one think that was an issue or a red flag? And also, listen to what he says in this clip.
They're having the times of their lives, like you know, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. You know, I have been given custody of him. You know, he signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when you know he did his first album. I did like his first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So yeah, and we gonna go full crazy.
I'm going crazy.
Crazy.
I'm taking this out tonight.
What you wanna do? What you wanna do over the next 48 hours?
This is literally the definition of grooming, and Justin, who was only 15 here, he was new to the industry and definitely very impressionable. Now that all these new allegations of Diddy have been exposed, it makes watching this video so much more disturbing. Now, this next video of Justin Bieber with Trey Songz and Odell Beckham years ago at one of Diddy's parties is questionable. I'm not gonna say anything, but you let me know what you think you saw down here.
Top 5 most Christian.
This Diddy case, bro. I keep saying, man, it's gonna get way more uglier, bro, man. Because I feel like anybody who's connected doing those things with him, man, they all gonna be going down with them. Damn, but imagine being that young 15, you like new in the industry, you don't know what the heck is going on, and like you hanging out with Diddy. I mean, at the time nobody knew, but we have no idea what I guess what transpired in those 48 hours. It's wild to think about. Do you guys think who else is gonna get exposed, man, being connected to Diddy, bro? We got the mayor of New York, he got to get exposed too, so this is insane.
Christian countries in the world by highest percentage of Christian adherents. Russia 73.6, United States 79.5, Brazil 90.2, Philippines 93.1, Mexico 95.
These are the top 5 craziest things revealed by this year's unprecedented global droughts. So at number 5 is the creepy hunger stones in Germany and Czech Republic. They were used to mark desperately low river levels and forecast famines. This one from 1616 says, "If you see me, cry." In 4th place is Hitler's Black Sea Fleet, which sank in 1944. A whopping 10,000 explosive devices were found hidden within the exposed wreckages. In 3rd place, we've seen the extreme drought over in China reveal 3 ancient Buddha statues that are estimated to be over 600 years old. In 2nd place, and moving over to the USA, the droughts in Texas have revealed unbelievably well-preserved dinosaur footprints that date back more than 100 million years. And then the number 1 wildest thing that these droughts are exposing is a whole lot of dead bodies. And there's been reports of dead bodies being found in drying lakes around the world, but none more than in Lake Mead near Las Vegas. So far, there has been 4 separate discoveries, one of which was the body of a man found crammed inside a rusting metal barrel. Experts are predicting that dozens, if not hundreds more, might be found.
What the hell's going on in Lake Mead?
gang of vicious otters attacked an innocent jogger and left her hospitalized. The 8 hungry beasts charged through a recreation park looking for...
How you nearly get packed up by a group of otters? I see a lot of comments saying that, making fun of the woman, and you know me, I'm not gonna miss a chance to spread the gospel on this malicious, mame-happy tube warrior with teeth. Y'all know about the honey badger, an aggressive bull-cut bully weasel, a certified felony ferret with an alleged affinity for ball biting, a homicidal mobile Oreo that fades venomous snakes as a side hustle. Call it an erectile dysfunction the way they could put a snake out of order. There was one honey badger who nearly got census subtracted by a group of lions, spent weeks in an animal ER just to get released and immediately try to run it back fresh out. We've been with this bush weasel as a literal manifestation of a walking middle finger, but imagine if they were a little more intelligent, ran in packs, and could run fades on land or water. Well, I just described why you otter put respect on this furry halo effect of salt sausage. Otters are in the same family as wolverines and honey badgers. They're just social and considered more intelligent. And believe me, a river otter on its own is already a cell block D menace. I couldn't even tell you what crimes getting committed here. And they're a whole lot less cute when you've seen them massacre a monkey at a zoo. That is a Jujutsu Kaisen level jumping with a waterboarding for dessert. Then you got the fact that otters in the Amazon can grow to 6 feet long, and I'm an honest 5'11". And you can kind of see how a hydrodynamic hood-affiliated honey badger can attitude adjust a jaguar. Look at that, all gas, just in reverse, dead ass like a donkey in a hearse. So before you go making fun of this woman, understand that gang violence is not a laughing matter, especially when it's otter mafia.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably
You was spitting, bro.
Sometimes you laugh, talk, and cry in sleep. It's often a spirit sitting beside you in bed. You are more likely to be bitten by someone in New York than to be bitten by a shark. The human head remains conscious for 20 seconds after being decapitated. If you search up this number on Google, you'll find people with their heads in fridges. Gelatin is made out of bones. That's right. The melted marshmallow in your hot chocolate is melted animal bone. It's good stuff. You have no way of really knowing if everyone experiences reality and consciousness the same way you do. If a panda finds a fresh carcass, they'll eat it. And last but not least, your phone is likely spying on you right now as you're watching this. Yeah, there's a lot more. Like for part 8.
Yeah, we need that part 8, bro. I don't need my phone spying on me, man.
The theory is the Teletubbies are based on a group of mentally ill children that were abused and killed in a Bulgarian mental facility, infamously known as La La Land in the 1960s. Each Teletubby character is based on one of these unfortunate children. Lala was inspired by a child who suffered from a severe facial disfigurement that forced her to smile constantly. Her unsettling appearance and tragic life were softened into the playful, happy character seen on the show. Tinky Winky represents a deaf child who was cruelly tied to a fence outside the facility, left to suffer in the freezing cold until he developed severe frostbite. His tragic story was turned into that of the large purple Teletubby, known for carrying a bag that seems to symbolize his isolation. Dipsy was based on a malnourished child who was so sick that he spent days lying in his own vomit, forgotten by the facility's staff. His pale green color and slightly sickly demeanor in the show are said to reflect this horrifying past. Pope, the smallest and reddest of the Teletubbies, was actually inspired by a child who fell into a fire, resulting in severe burns that permanently scarred her, hence why her Teletubby color is red.
Hey man, the Teletubby theories, bro. No one watching these clips together, man. How this media we be consuming it be based on like some true stories, dark stories as well. So we can't throw out that theory. Probably some truth behind it as well.
Here are 3 of the most disturbing facial reconstructions and the chilling backstories behind them. But before we get started, I did make a YouTube channel for everybody who requested. If you want to subscribe, the link is right in the bio. Alright, let's get into it. Number 1. The Irondequoit Jane Doe. Found buried in a shallow grave in New York State, the manner of death was ruled as suspicious, but there were no signs of trauma found on her body. Once found, her remains were so badly decomposed that it's suspected she may have been buried there for up to 30 years before being uncovered. Number 2. The Philadelphia teen. Discovered to have been shot and possibly burned, his remains were found near the railroad tracks in Philadelphia in 1977, and he was the victim of a horrific homicide. To this day, he has never had any friends or family that have come forward to claim his identity, and he remains unknown. Number 3. The Swimsuit Boy. He is one of the only unidentified bodies to come from the Dean Coral serial killings. Discovered buried beneath the shed, among others, his remains were wearing a multicolored swimsuit, hence the name. And it's not at all that this is a bad reconstruction. It's actually unsettling to me because it's pretty good. When you're looking at it, it's almost like the eyes are looking right back at you. It's that realistic. But what makes it all that more eerie is that it's linked to a missing boy that no one has ever claimed.
He was right, those eyes are like piercing through your damn soul.
The moment she was caught poisoning her husband. Not once, not twice, but multiple times. It all started when U.S. Air Force employee Roby Johnson was stationed in Germany back in March of 2023. With him was his wife, Melody Johnson, who had filed for divorce, but they still lived together while it was being finalized. He began noticing that his morning cup of coffee was tasting a bit weird, but continued on drinking it for around 3 weeks. He eventually decided to test it with a pulled test strip, and it showed high levels of chlorine. That is when he launched his own internal investigation and caught her in the act. She was caught multiple times on video pouring bleach into his coffee maker. Now, he didn't want to raise any alarms in Germany, so he waited, kept pretending to drink the coffee until they were back in Arizona in June. While back at the Air Force Base, he recorded her doing it yet again and reported it to police. Now, they told him the evidence wasn't quite clear enough, so he decided to enhance his setup. More and better cameras disguised as smoke alarms, which caught her clear as day.
4K.
She was arrested, and he fully believes that she was out to get his life insurance money. Imagine living with someone for months knowing that they are actively trying to kill you.
Horrifying urban...
That is chilling, man. Like I said, she already filed for divorce and stuff like that, but... And they showed the video the first time, they said they get more clear evidence. I'll be like, what the heck? Like, what's more clear than that? Like I said, you're literally living with somebody for months and they trying to take you off the board for some money, man. Root of all evil.
Urban Legends Part 1. This, my friends, is La Llorona, also known as the Weeping Woman. She's the frightening figure of a heartbroken woman who drowned her kids in a river and is now damned for eternity to find their bodies. If you hear her cry, it's already too late.
That's a creepy, scary story. It's an edit, man. Call it like we see it, bro. Call out any edits that you see.
Times when companies dissed others, Part 3. In 2001, Coca-Cola announced that they sold 4 more times than Pepsi. So Pepsi, being salty, decided to create this whole ad of a boy going to a vending machine, getting 2 Cokes from the vending machine, just so he can stand on the cans and get a Pepsi.
Oh.
They are honestly ruthless for this. Next, in 2014, Mercedes made a commercial showing how a chicken can keep their head still while their bodies move, saying Mercedes can do the same thing with their car stability. However, the car company Jaguar saw this and decided to make almost the exact same commercial.
Word for word, bar for bar, bro. You copied my whole flow.
But at the end, a Jaguar straight up destroys the chicken. That's cruel.
This gymnast forgets to salute to the judges, and they get very butthurt about that. So the gymnast lands it well, but now is the point where he should salute to the judges, but he forgets that. And this is what the judges do. As you can see, they took it really personally. Do you think he can be forgiven?
2024,
He
just
should.
not even crazier, Part 16. Firstly, a Canadian man who was about to go on an upcoming camping trip used Google Maps to see the area that he was going to be camping. Well, while on Google Maps, the man discovered this, and experts believe that the man just discovered a very possible ancient meteor impact while on Google Maps. The fact that he found this using Google Maps is wild. Next, also in Canada, a woman who was at a barbecue started playing with these water guns with a child. Well, while playing with the water guns, she accidentally sprayed the neighbor who was cutting grass next door. Well, the man got angry and called the police, and somehow the woman was charged with assault with a weapon. Finally, a 57-year-old man was about to have burgers when the burgers were frozen together. So he got a kitchen knife to separate the burgers, but while he tried to separate them, he accidentally stabbed himself and the man unfortunately passed away. R.I.P. This is horrible.
Whatever you do, do not look up what this guy did. Now, you may know this guy, TJ Lane. He did a horrific school shooting back in 2012. You probably don't know what then happened when he went to court. For one, you can see him with little to no remorse in the corpse, smirking, smiling, along with a shirt he was wearing which had the word killer written on it. His lawyer then whispered to him to basically make a statement and tell him what to say. When TJ then said something you would never imagine after doing this, he basically said, "This hand that unalived your families now pleasures to the memory." I can't show the video of this for obvious reasons and I can't talk too much about it on here, but the full video is on my YouTube, link in my bio. But what this guy did is absolutely horrific, and the fact he then went and did that in court as well, like, what is wrong with people?
People have no remorse, man. I always say they're the most dangerous people alive, man. You have to have remorse for your actions if you do something that horrific. That's definitely not it. You can see it right there.
It is almost unbelievable, but the world's first VR headset that literally kills you if you die in the game has just been created. The man who invented it, Palmer Luckey, is a leader in VR, a government contractor, and the creator of Meta's Oculus headset. So this is the real deal. The headset is hooked up to 3 explosive charge modules that sit above the screen. The charges are aimed directly at the user's forebrain, and should they go off, would obliterate the head of the user. He said he created it because only the threat of serious consequences can make the game feel real to you and every other person in the game. He even says that he wants to work on an anti-tampering model that cannot be removed or destroyed. So if you decide to put it on, there is no bloody going back. Thankfully, this headset is not commercially available yet.
Who wants a headset that can just freaking fry your brain, man? People, I'm telling you, man, this technology, they're taking it like a step too far, bro. Technology is supposed to be used to help to improve life, not take it away. And I'm trying to put an anti-tampering on so you can't even take it off. Like, you really trying to lock you into that? Who getting that VR? Cause I sure as hell ain't.
So why do these places make you feel that way? These are called liminal spaces. They are literally the threshold between 2 realities. For example, a rest shop is a place between where you started and where you're going. These places are not meant for you to stay in very long. So you feel a sensation of reality shifting when you stay in those places for longer than you normally would. The same goes for schools during summer break or laundromats at night, and I think you got my point.
Rest stops, man. It's a place between dimensions now?
How to summon the Feeling Man. It is said that if the Feeling Man finds you worthy, he'll grant you a wish. If deemed unworthy, he'll curse you with depression and a lot more. To summon the Feeling Man, we'll have to get a mirror. The mirror will be neat to place on the floor in an empty room. Make sure you're seeing the reflection of the feeling in the mirror when placed on the floor. With a lamp or candle, you say the word, "Feeling Man, I am worthy," 20 times. The Feeling Man will eventually appear in the mirror. You look into the mirror and you say, "Feeling Man, I am ready for my wish." You wait for a voice that says, "Be careful, if the Feeling Man finds you unworthy, your face will look like this in the mirror, disoriented." Should I summon the Feeling Man tonight on live?
Yeah, no, I don't play with Ouija boards. I don't do none of those summoning games.
Does a
Keep
photo
that
like
bad
this make
energy
you feel
away.
uncomfortable? Or something like this. This phenomenon is known as the Uncanny Valley. Introduced by Masahiro Mori in the 1970s, the Uncanny Valley refers to a phenomenon where our brains can register that something is very close to human, but we're also aware that something's not quite right. It's the in-between, where we can process that something looks like a person, but it's not a person, and it causes feelings of distress. Believed to be an evolutionary mechanism, which is also not exclusive to just humans, the Uncanny Valley is where we perceive these things to be a threat, or not of us, and it can cause feelings of panic. One of the most well-known modern examples of this was actually an early test screening of Shrek in 2000, where Fiona was rendered as very hyper-realistic. So realistic that it surpassed the threshold of comfort in cartoon and moved into the Uncanny Valley. The children actually became so panicked at this screening, they were reported to be crying at the movie anytime she came on the screen. The entire film had to be halted and she was re-rendered. I'm not sure this was the actual earliest version of Fiona that made it to the screening, but to put this in context, the one that made it to worldwide theaters is right above. But I did happen to find this monster from some of the early test footage of Shrek. The Uncanny Valley is still a widely unstudied phenomenon, but it continues to become more and more pervasive in entertainment as well as our modern animation.
Uncanny Valley. Just a couple of those faces, I'm like, yeah.
Disturbing facts
they
you
ain't
didn't
it.
want to hear, part 2.
Many doctors say that the most common last words they hear are, "I don't feel so good." Most laugh tracks you hear in TV shows were recorded in the 1950s, meaning that the people you hear laughing are probably dead. During the French Revolution, it was said that the guillotine had to be used multiple times to get the job done. The reason that planes shut off their lights right before they land is so that passengers' eyes can adjust to the dark just in case there's a crash. This is so if the power goes out during the crash landing, they can better find an escape route.
I never knew that, bro.
Top 3 creepy last words people said right before dying.
Talk
A nurse
about it.
who wants to remain anonymous said that she had a sweet patient named Ella who started to lose herself to dementia. She started talking to herself. Most of the time, it was playful. She would laugh to herself. One day, the nurse walked into her room and she was in a complete panic. She had her blanket pulled up to her chin and she was completely pale. The nurse went to her bedside to ask her what was wrong. And she said, "There is a woman in black looking in my window, and I am just petrified of her smile." The nurse said that it shook her hard. Reddit user Simple Simon 6262 said that when he was a student, he got called in on a stroke patient. She had coded and they were doing CPR. They worked for 45 minutes. But she died. They cleaned her up and called on her family to say goodbye. By the time her family left, she had been both brain dead and without a pulse for over 45 minutes. He said that blood had filled her brain and she was completely gray and had started to smell. Suddenly, she sat up and called for her family. The nurses rushed to get equipment and monitors back on her. She stabilized, said goodbye to her family, and promptly died a second time. Reddit user AJH1717 said that he works in a cardiovascular surgical ICU. He said that they had a stretch of nights where each corner room of their unit reported seeing a black cat walking around. Not a friendly cat either, apparently. The thing was hissing at them. The accounts were so similar to each other that they probably spent half an hour looking for the cat. Then they had security look as well. No cat was ever seen or found. 2 of those 4 patients coded the next day.
Humans who turned themselves into animals.
Jocelyn Wildenstein wanted to look like a cat. And now looks like this.
What the hell?
Dennis Abner wanted to look like a tiger. And now looks like this.
I didn't even get his nails like that. What the
Eva
hell?
Tiamat Medusa wanted to look like a dragon. And now looks like this. Toko-san wanted to look like a dog. And now looks like this.
Oh, what
Ted
the hell?
Richards wanted to look like a parrot. And now looks like this. Toru Ueda wanted to look like a wolf. And now looks like this.
I know they wanna, you know, people have the interest in things, man, but they taking it to the next level, man, about like trying to get surgery to actually look like the actual animal or thing they're trying to become. Bro, you think they were like hitting? I guess the more news, more people kind of know about things, stuff like this. Tap in with us, man. You can learn some stuff.
If you are a family influencer or post your child on social media, here are a few things you should never do in my own opinion.
Don't do it.
Number 1, might be common sense, but never post your child in a bathing suit. It's disgusting how many of these Instagram accounts exist that just solely share these types of photos and even have their own groups and communities, so just don't. Number 2, having your very young child's own Instagram page. For example, the LeBrant family. They have an Instagram account for each of their very young children, and just because it's managed by mom and dad does not mean it stops thousands of sick individuals from following the accounts and using their photos for exploitation. Number 3, AI-generated photos are becoming more and more realistic, so think about that before you post a picture of your child eating, crying, or honestly doing anything. When it comes to this type of inappropriate content, people will do anything to get a photo. Honestly, as someone who has talked about true crime stories for over 3 years, I highly suggest you never post your kid on social media. If you have other tips, please comment that down below.
Don't do it. It ain't worth it. Plain and simple. We got some Thomas the Ancient scary facts, bro. Oh man, we all used to watch that, bro.
Scary and haunting facts that'll keep you up at night. While sleeping, we see ghosts in our dreams and suddenly wake up with fear and think it was just a bad dream. According to paranormal experts, it is the virtual reality. They're real spirits communicating with you, but our soul rejects and wakes us up for safety. That is why bad dreams are never completed. In a deep sleep, if you often see your dead relative or friend in your dream, it means their restless soul is actually in your room right now, roaming around you and trying to contact you. According to paranormal investigators, spirits are most active at night and mostly exist in cold air-conditioned rooms. They look and stare at you all night. If you have difficulty trying to fall asleep without any reason, it's a spirit somewhere in your corner staring at you. We actually have a sense to detect a paranormal entity around us. If you feel shivered all of a sudden, it means a spirit just passed through you. If you're home alone and feel like someone is staring at you but find no one after looking, 99% of the time it's a spirit. They want your attention.
This priest tied himself to 1,000 colorful helium balloons and then was found in the ocean months later. On April 20th, 2008, 41-year-old Father Adiller DeCarli wanted to raise money to build a chapel in his hometown, so he chose to tie himself up to 1,000 helium balloons and float over the ocean. He also hoped to break the previous 19-hour record, but unfortunately, things ended tragically. On the morning of April 20th, Father Adiller was fully repaired to take off, and for safety reasons, he put on a helmet, waterproof coveralls, and an aluminum thermal flight suit, as well as a GPS tracker and a radio to communicate with people on the ground. Only a few hours after taking off, despite the radio and GPS tracker, Father Adiller disappeared and could not be located. The last thing that he said through the radio was that he was losing height and was going to land in the ocean. Search and rescue teams were immediately dispatched, and after 2 days, they found the colorful balloons in the sea off Brazil's southeast coast, but Father Adiller was not there. Then, a few months later, a body was found in the ocean, which turned out to be him. It was reported that the priest had reached an altitude of 20,000 feet and then was blown off course by the strong winds, causing his tragic death.
A lot of people even be attempting things like that. That sounds like the freaking. I know that movie Up with the balloons in the whole house, how all those balloons and he like was up in the sky, bro. Sounds like that, bro. This is like a darker version of it. The more you know, man. I think that's an edit. Yeah, that's an edit. We call those out. Any edits you see, man, if you call them out, bro, tell us down below, because I might miss a couple.
Sometimes in movies, when dogs have to look very mean and threatening, they actually have to redo their tails with CGI because they won't stop wagging because they're doing such a good job acting. When bees run into each other, they actually make like a little whoop sound. Fish are actually able to recognize their owners. There's this weird misconception with people that they think that fish can't see out of the glass of their aquarium, but they actually have surprisingly good eyesight.
Oh, okay. The more you know.
A 12-year-old girl in Tennessee has been charged with murder after she killed her 8-year-old cousin.
Come again?
On July 15th, the 12-year-old reportedly smothered her 8-year-old cousin, Demaria Hollingsworth, to death, then reportedly cleaned up the victim and repositioned her body. Now the 12-year-old is facing murder charges and may even be tried as an adult. 8-year-old Demaria Hollingsworth and her cousin, the 12-year-old whose name has not been released, were visiting family and staying with their grandmother on July 15th, 2024. They reportedly began arguing over an iPhone and were having this disagreement. Then, while Demaria was sleeping on the top bunk of their bed, the 12-year-old allegedly used bedding to fatally smother her to death. Police obtained security footage that shows the murder and shows the victim struggling to survive as the 12-year-old used her entire body weight to put the bedding on top of the victim. The older girl is then seen attempting to clean up and rearrange the body to look like the girl was just sleeping. Demiria was found unresponsive in her bed by her grandmother. 2 days later, the security footage was found, and the older girl was charged with murder. The suspect is now being charged with first-degree murder and tampering with evidence. The DA is seeking to transfer her to the circuit court to be tried as an adult, calling the act, quote, one of the most disturbing violent acts committed by either an adult or a juvenile that my office has prosecuted. 12-year-old is expected to be back in court this week. Rest in peace, Demiria.
Well, this might ruin some people's day. A new study has found that people who believe in astrology are less intelligent and more narcissistic. The team of scientists at Lund University in Sweden wrote, the main results show that the higher the narcissism, perhaps surprisingly, the higher the belief in astrology. The positive association is possibly due to the self-centered worldview uniting them. They added that the higher the level of intelligence was, the lower the belief in astrology was. Such a Taurus thing to say. But the question is, do you think this study is correct?
I was gonna say, see, because you guys believe in astrology, you know, the signs and things like that. I've been seeing that. I know a couple of times, you know, I hear a couple of people, they be talking about how they truly believe in stuff like that. I don't know, man. Tell me down below. I really want to know if you guys are into that.
Videos that can't be explained. The last one is crazy. Can someone explain to me why so many birds were pushed out of the sky?
Ooh.
Would you rather spend one night in this bathroom or kiss the third person who appears when you click share and then more? This woman captured a light orb of some sort on her doorbell camera, and it kept replaying the Sesame Street theme song.
What the hell is that?
Could it have been trying to communicate with us? Only 1% of people can do this. None of you can completely spell your name one letter at a time in the comments below without being interrupted. The first person to do it wins. Before we get to the last scary thing, make sure to support this page by clicking the follow button for more interesting facts every day. Did this guy randomly find a piece of the Ocean Gate submarine that imploded a couple months ago?
Oh.
What is that?
Where did you find that?
What's it say?
Oh no.
Ocean Gate. What the
You need to
hell?
turn that in, Cody.
What's it say? Oh, it's part of a helicopter.
No, it ain't.
Whatever.
What the hell? He just threw it back.
Here's some fun facts that are not fun, but you should still know about them. Well, Teletubbies is a cute, innocent show for kids, right? No! It's actually based on a mental institute in Bulgaria called La La Land. These kids were locked up for days and people forget to feed them. So Lala's real name was actually Tulip. Her face was so deformed that she looked like she was smiling. She was locked up for so long her face turned yellow, and that's why she was the yellow Teletubby. Next we got the blue Teletubby based out of a Tolaway who was really naughty. One day he was punished by staying outside. Because of the cold he froze to death and he turned blue, and that's why he's the blue Teletubby. Next we got the green Teletubby named Dipsy. He puked and vomited all the time because he was always sick. When he puked on the floor, nobody cleaned it up, so he just lied in his vomit for months. So he got sicker and sicker and he turned green, and that's why he's a green Teletubby. And last we got Po, which actually was my favorite. Her real name was Polia. One day she was playing with mud and she came home really tired, so she fell asleep by the fire. Not knowing it was Po, someone came and thought she was a log and threw her into the fire! And that's how she died.
Damn. Okay, that's an edit right there. You call him out, man.
Ashley Benefield has been convicted of manslaughter in the Black Swan murder trial. Benefield was accused of murdering her estranged husband in September 2020. Doug Benefield was shot to death in Ashley's home on September 27th while he was there helping her pack moving boxes. Ashley claimed self-defense, saying that Doug attacked her and she was afraid for her life. The murder came amidst a contentious custody battle between the two for their then 2-year-old daughter. Benefield's defense in the Black Swan trial claimed that she was trapped in an abusive relationship and acted in self-defense when she shot Doug. They painted Doug Benefield as a manipulative, controlling, and abusive man. The prosecution, on the other hand, accused Ashley of wanting sole custody of her daughter and resorting to murder to get what she wanted. Ashley was initially charged with second-degree murder, and her trial began just last week. After less than a day of deliberations, the jury returned their verdict last night, finding Ashley Benefield guilty of the lesser charge of manslaughter. Ashley now faces up to 30 years in prison. Judge has remanded Ashley to the custody of the Manatee County Sheriff's Office and revoked her $100,000 bond. Sentencing date has yet to be set, but like I said, she faces up to 30 years in prison.
Animal facts that'll blow your mind right out of your head. Contrary to popular belief, tigers aren't always solo hunters. They hunt in packs a lot, and a pack of tigers is called an ambush, as you can see why. Flamingos are naturally gray. That's their natural color, but they turn pink because of their diet of seafood. The black-footed cat is the most dominant hunter on the planet, despite standing 6 inches tall. There's a crocodile named Gustav that's believed to have killed over 300 people, and he's still out there. Oh, and I guess crocodiles got a new update, and apparently they can climb trees now? The chicken is closer related to the T-Rex than it is any other bird on the planet. There is not one report of an orca ever attacking a human in the wild. Dolphins like to get intoxicated, and they do it by passing around a pufferfish and using its venom. The biggest threat to a porcupine's life is themselves. They like to climb trees, and sometimes they fall and pierce all their quills right through themselves. Under all that fur, polar bears have black skin. It looks like a chupacabra. And the best fact of all, in 2022, the panda status changed from endangered to vulnerable. Go panda.
Oh, okay. I didn't know the thing about dolphins, man. They trying to get high, bro. Passing around a puffer fish. These are menaces, man. I never knew that. These facts, man, they be blowing my mind. That's why I review these clips with y'all together.
The most disturbing theory in children's shows. SpongeBob SquarePants. The secret formula to the Krabby Patty is crab meat. This is why the Krusty Krab looks like a crab trap.
So that's what I taste like.
This is why he makes sure nobody knows it. And only Plankton knows. This is also why there is no crabs in the show besides him and his mom.
I'm just now putting that together. Is the Krabby Patty form of really crab meat, bro? That actually makes sense. Whoa.
Fun fact of the day that my small brain cannot physically comprehend. This one really did make me say, what the fuck? I want you to do me a favor and pour yourself a glass of water. Do it! Now, there is an immensely high chance that that water you're about to drink is older than the solar system. This is because it existed in ice specks floating in cosmic clouds before any of this shit came to be. Oh, and one more thing. Scientists estimate that every glass of water you drink has 100% passed through a dinosaur. So put immensely bluntly, the most vital thing humans need to survive is Jurassic wee-wee. My brain! Let's make a deal. If you didn't know these facts or they shocked you in any way, you have to share it. Now remind someone to stay hydrated today. And then immediately send them this video. We're so evil. Elon!
Drinking freaking dinosaur pee, bro. That's how we stay
This is why you
alive.
should never explore the forest at night. Late at night in 2006, 2 men hear some strange noises coming from a forest near their house, so they decide to go have a look. After their footage went completely viral, they would admit that they actually only went into the woods just to scare themselves. They didn't actually expect to film anything. At some point on their walk, they start to notice more and more dead birds on the ground, and so one of them gets out his camera to start filming them. As they're filming the birds, you can tell that they're getting more and more spooked by the whole situation, and then one of the men hears something in the tree line, and the cameraman pans his camera to look. Human eyes don't reflect light.
So what the hell was that?
Someone in my group chat
He's
said
out there, is down below.
bats. And they're right. Here's bat facts, but they get wholesome. Without bats, we wouldn't have tequila. There's about 500 plants that depend on bats to pollinate them, and one of them happens to be the reason you drunk texted your ex at 6 p.m. on a Tuesday. Vampire bats will adopt the babies of their best friends if something happens to them. Also, vampire bats can die if they go one night without eating, so if one is starving, a well-fed bat will regurgitate in its mouth just enough to keep it alive. And it turns out they'll do this with their friends to make sure they return the favor if they ever need it. The smallest bat in the world is a bumblebee bat, and it weighs as much as 2 Skittles. Other than giving us reasons to send texts we regret the next morning, bats are free pest control. By eating the bugs that would destroy crops, bats actually bail the farming industry out of billions of dollars a year. Mother bats will carry their babies around everywhere for the first couple of weeks, and that includes while she's flying. Bats can sleep, give birth, and have sex upside down, and that might not be wholesome, but damn it, that's talent. Also, there's a reason bats vibe upside down. It's because it's easier for them to get in the air and fly away if they're already hanging upside down as opposed to if they were on the ground. Compared to birds, it's actually way harder for them to get in the air, so chilling upside down just makes sense. More you know.
There is a book that shows you how to summon the devil. I am of course speaking about the Grand Grimoire. It was likely written sometime between the 16th to the 19th century. Now, it details the method to summoning the devil and explains what you need to exchange with it to make a deal. Of course, that being your soul for eternity.
Not worth it.
It also discusses the other demonic entities said to exist in hell, and again methods on summoning some of those. The real question is, who really wrote it? If you're enjoying my religion series, remember to gift.
Who wrote that book, man? I'll stay away from that wholeheartedly. I don't need none of that bad energy, bad spirit near me. Nope. What the hell is he looking at? In the tunnel? I think that's it. That's photo.
Here are some morbidly wholesome facts about Robin Williams. When Sharon Osbourne was sick in bed with cancer and giving up, Ozzy asked Robin Williams to come visit her. Robin randomly hopped in her sick bed, and her family instantly went from crying to laughing hysterically. Robin cheered her up so much that she went back to chemo the very next day. When Superman actor Christopher Reeve was left paralyzed after a horse riding accident, Robin Williams was one of the first people to visit him in the hospital. Came in dressed as a doctor and told Reeve he was there to give him a rectal exam, causing him to laugh for the first time in weeks. When Robin Williams first met Coco the gorilla in 2001, he made her smile for the first time in 6 months. When Robin died in 2014, Coco overheard the news and said the word cry in sign language.
Disney just got completely exposed. Okay, so we all know how Disney is known for all their classic movies. Well, what if I told you every single one of these movies is a copy and paste of another one? Disney literally recycles animation from other movies, and then change little things like characters and setting. Just watch this video and let me know what you think. Because after watching this video, I want to go back and rewatch all the Disney movies, just to see which movies recycled each other.
And Disney made probably billions off of that, of all those movies together. They really just use the same animation throughout the movies? I know about saving a buck, but isn't this plain like copy and paste? The more you know, man. Then we gotta go back and watch, like I said, those old movies and try to spot out the differences. I mean, spot out the similarities. One of the other movie companies does that as well. Disney might not be the only one.
There is no way in 1,000 years you'd be able to guess what's happening in this photo. Yes, it does look like the apartment of a former frat boy who can't decorate, but it's actually a still from the most evil reality television show to ever exist, where this man was kept in this apartment naked with no food for 15 months, while 17 million people in Japan tuned in. It's also the subject of tonight's episode, so let's dive in. So this is called Sweepstakes Life, and it was a show in Japan in the 90s. To cast the show, a group of men were told to come to a casting office with no other information. A box with a question mark was then wheeled into the room, and each of the men had to pull an envelope. This guy, Nasubi, is the guy that gets the winning slip, and this is where his nightmare begins. He was immediately blindfolded and thrown in the back of a car, where he was brought to this apartment and told to strip. This is also where he's told that anything he needs to survive needs to be won in sweepstakes that are in those magazines, meaning he couldn't eat anything until he won it, which didn't happen for 2 weeks. He wouldn't be let out of the apartment until he won 1 million yen worth of prizes, and he had no idea it would take him over a year to do so. I'm gonna have to do another part to this story, but check out tonight's episode for more.
A year?
It's just the usual transformation as far as I'm concerned. Painful, but there we are. We all have crosses to bear, eh?
Quiet. Nearly time now. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Move right.
It's gonna transform into a werewolf. Let's see. Or is this just another edit? They won't let the public get a hold of footage like this, would they? Sideburns going in. Taking the shoes off? Okay. Yeah, this is definitely not it, bro. You know this is damn edit. Like, what the?
That's great, thank you.
I like how he showed like it's.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's definitely not it, bro. There's no way they will let the public get a hold of a whole werewolf transformation. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. As you guys see, man, I'm kind of switching out with my upload schedule this month, man. I think it's going to do one every other single day, man. Greatly appreciate the support, man. Like I said, make sure you guys follow me on my social medias down below. Hit the post notification bell so you guys always get notified when I upload a video. Guys can catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, you too.